Hi, it's Hazel. Welcome to my channel. Before we get started, I just wanted to tell you that I've got a cup of tea going here. That is a mid-afternoon treat, and it's also an attempt to try to soothe my voice. It tends to get croaky the longer I talk. Anyway, I don't know where you live or what your access to tea is, but if you are available, have you ever tried this one? This particular brand, Stash, is certainly available in Canada. And this is one of my two favorite flavors, the double bergamot Earl Grey. And if you're feeling particularly decadent, you can add some honey. And the other one is licorice spice. Love, love, love them. I don't know if you saw the Louise Heinzel video where someone from North America sent her some tea bags, Stash brand, and she just loved them. And of course, one of the bonuses is that on each bag there is this, with the string and the little tag, and it says Stash on one side and a very generic looking logo on the other. So what's not to love? Anyway, treat yourself to some tea is the message for today. Okay, I am jumping in the deep end with the 100-day challenge. I'm going to get a few of these taped and in a slush pile so that, when life gets in the way, it appears that I'm still doing this daily. I am not limiting myself in any way. I know that some people are, either pick, envelopes or tea bags or what else have I seen? Collage. Although collage would be a really good one because that's so broad. Playing cards. I'm not doing that because I'm thinking that it would be probably a little hard to sustain that over the 100 days. However, I'm not ruling it out for future years or future bouts, stints, challenges, because I think that's when the creativity could really kick in. When your back is against the wall and you think, oh, I can't let down my people, I've got to come up with something awesome. So anyway, what I'm doing, and part of the reason I'm doing this is for the discipline that it requires. Although I do craft every day and feel a little ache in my heart on days when I don't feel like something is missing, like a vitamin or something. Vitamin C craft for crafting. So the discipline that requires, as well as the additional practice and finessing the whole YouTube scenario. And in the process, hopefully building my subscriber list and the number of people who comment and like and share and all that jazz. Anyway, what I have chosen to do, I'm going to show you some bases. I have these kind of oversized jigsaw pieces. These, of course, were kids' puzzles of some sort. And I covered a bunch of them with different papers. So book page, I don't know what that is, probably some wrapping paper. This is definitely wrapping paper. This was a scrapbooking paper of some sort. And there are a few others that I'll show you in a minute. This is also wrapping paper that I love. So I've done some prep work because, of course, that's the only way this really works, is to have some things done ahead of time so the video isn't 5 hours long. So I'll just push that out of the way for the timing. Anyway, as I was thinking, what are these people going to look at if I don't actually cover a puzzle piece with something, if I just start out with all these bases? And you'll notice that I didn't do anything to the backing because, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know how they're going to be used. But if somebody did want to, if you tucked one in a pocket and somebody wanted to write on the back, well, what's stopping them? Go for it. But I couldn't find any more in that size. So I have a few of these super jumbo ones. This is 3.5, 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches wide, and 4 inches tall. Now, of course, anyone who's ever seen a puzzle knows that the surface is really glossy. So what I did in preparation, again, to save some time, was use this sanding sponge. Well, I call it a sanding block. I think there's a big whole thing out there about this. Let me take a sip of tea and move it out of the way. I don't need a coating of sawdust in there. Okay, so I scuffed it up a bit with this sandpaper, and you can see it works quite nicely. If you don't, if you're not married to a farmer or a handyman, you can also get, hardware stores sell what you may call it, sanding paper by the sheet or by the package, and on the package and on the back of each sheet, it'll tell you the grit. Now, this is a very fine one. I don't feel any need to use it because this has worked. I also, and I don't know why, if this broke or if I broke it on purpose, this is also an emery board that, available in the dollar store or whatever. So on some of these, you can see that I have probably, filed down the edges a bit. And I think that gives it a nice look, in addition to getting into some of these little nooks and crannies where, unless you like to torture yourself, are really kind of a pain in the butt to get to with, scissors. So that is that. Now, some of the ones I'm going to show you that I've already done and decorated are, some of them have nicer finishes than others, but again, I reserve the right to keep working on that even up to the last moment if necessary. Let me just take this Kleenex and get rid of some of this grit here. So, what I am going to choose to cover this large piece with is, well, this obviously I had coffee dyed. And then I must have been, ghost stamping stuff. And I don't know, for whatever reason, it's just here, so let's use it. So I think that I'm going to use a combination of both glue stick and art glitter glue. Glue stick for the larger surface, and because, it'll give me a smoother surface than the little beads of art glitter glue, as well as going around the very edge with art glitter glue to get good adhesion. It's one of those things. You do your very best, and then you actually go to work with it later, and you find out, okay, it's lifting there or there. So I guess my advice would be try to do the best you can initially with whatever glue you're using. And actually, don't be surprised if you have to, what I discovered is that most of the time, like I'm right-handed, most of the time I'm way over to the right, almost out of frame. I have an iPhone 13 Pro, Max Pro or whatever. And it's a fairly big phone, which is good when you're a woman of a certain age and you need things to be bigger. Anyway, the lens is, the lens, of course, is at one end, and it's at that end, and I'm over here, and anyway, long, sad, very, very sad story. So I am going to just, I guess, randomly pick a spot here. Don't want to waste any. Oh, this puzzle is better because it has a white background to it. Although, well, I guess we'll see. Again, I don't really imagine anyone writing. Where the heck is my... Oh, struggle. Struggle is real, people. I guess it's more effective doing it on this side. So, in the beginning, when I first started covering puzzle pieces, I did spend way too much time, you know, doing that cutting, especially in those nooks and crannies. Now, of course, you kind of want to do the best you can. Get the bulk of the... Doesn't help that, you know, the bigger the piece, the thicker it is. Makes it that much harder to get in there. I'm just kind of rough cutting around, and then I'll probably use the emery board to get into the tight corners there. Why don't I do this? Get rid of the bulk of this paper. I also have, whoa, I'm so sorry. I also have the, this Fiskars thing that I think would help in the nooks and crannies as well. But again, I want to be able to, I want you to be able to do this, and if you don't have that, that doesn't really help you much, does it? Probably those scissors are too big. Probably these are too small. You know, one day, just for the heck of it, I should count all the scissors that I own. Between some original, I don't know if it's still such a respected brand, but back in the day, when I was a young bride, Singer scissors were like the cat's meow. So I have like about the, I don't know, 8-inch or whatever, big, you know, big scissors. And then I have the teeny weeny, maybe about this size. So 4-inch embroidery scissors, because of course back in the day I was such a would you believe it? I even did pettipoint pictures, pettipoint jewelry. So do you know how bloody fine that mesh is, that silk gauze that you do that on? Anyway, so I have those scissors, still the original ones, you know, and I got married a long time ago. So I have, you know, obviously paper scissors. You may have seen the Fiskars that I use. So there's this, and there are these comfort ones, which are really awesome, especially if you have osteoarthritis, like some of us do. Excuse me, sip of tea. And a million other pairs, you know, because when your hands hurt, you keep thinking, well, I'm sure I can find one. I'm sure I can find one that is not going to hurt, you know, that won't cause me pain in my fingers or wrists. And I have to say, there are some scissors that are so good. I know Tina at Shabby Dabby Doodah has raved about the ones that, and I think they're pretty cheap, that IKEA sells. And I'm sure that I have 1 or 2 sets of those. So, you know, sometimes, I guess what I'm trying to get at is you don't always get what you pay for. Sometimes you can get a really good product at a very affordable price. There's a, dare I say, old man. There's an old man that lives on a farm near the neighboring town, and he is a scissor sharpening guy. Maybe knives too. Anyway, I had pinking shears and all sorts of other, like I say, specialty and other kinds of scissors. And, you know, they're only good for so long. And some of them are old and well built. And they definitely are worth the investment to, you know, to pay a guy to sharpen them rather than, you know, this kind of all too common thing about, well, maybe not in our community of junk journal people or recycling people, is this thing that happens all too often, which is, you know, something stops working and people just throw it away rather than keep a good thing going just by doing a little maintenance. So anyway, I packed up 15 pairs maybe, and took them over there. And the guy, it didn't take him very long to do it. Like, you know, it doesn't do it while you wait or anything. But the price was so reasonable, and it's probably a dying art form. I shouldn't, honestly, what time is it? I shouldn't be maybe doing this or I need a new emery board. I shouldn't be wasting too much time with this sanding. You get the idea. And certainly I have other bases that I can work on, and there are other things I wanted to show you. So anyway, you can see how if this emery board had a little more tooth to it, probably time to buy more of these, this would be going a little smoother. And if I wasn't kind of trying to talk and do two things at the same time. But you can see how nice that becomes. And I think it helps that I used art glitter glue for good adhesion, because I think as good as my Yoo-hoo is, obviously art glitter glue is better. So yeah, a person can putz around doing this for a while, and I won't make you watch any more of that. And of course, you know, this is quite a neutral paper. So actually getting, well, as I showed you in this peachy colored one, having that worn edge is kind of a design choice as well. Okay, so we've talked about the sanding stuff. Know that this is not complete, but I'm not going to take any more time doing it now. I don't use wipes often enough, I think. So let's just get rid of this grit. Okay, so I know that in past videos, I've expressed concern, dismay, frustration at my inability to do any half-decent eyelet setting. And I have a crocodile. Crocodile. Like, what the heck? So, guess what? I read the instructions. And so, like, I'm going to be turning into an eyelet machine here. So this is what I'm talking about if you haven't already seen one. Fairly expensive, but well built. And frankly, you only buy it once. And sometimes, especially if a person can afford it or uses a coupon or put it on your birthday or Christmas list, it, some tools are just worth the money and worth the investment. And like I say, you only buy it once. If you take care of it, it will last your lifetime. So anyway, I am going to, and this is no comment on you, it's a comment about me. I'm going to dumb down this process to the point that you won't have to go through the frustration that I did. I think some of the people that I've seen using it in the past assume that, well, everybody knows. So I did set eyelets in a lot of these puzzle pieces, but I thought, well, I better leave some for my demo. So let's see what I've got here. Well, I'm not going to bother doing all of those, but okay. So obviously I'm thinking, or the way I'm doing this, let me use a real life example. So I'm thinking that this could get attached to, a piece of lace or a tab or something. So I'm choosing to use a bulb pin. Now we know that bulb pins, I think I have actually a couple different shapes here. Probably different manufacturers make them slightly, maybe that's close. Maybe I'm hallucinating. Anyway, there's only so much space there. So after I had punched, a million of these and added the eyelets, I was thinking, oh, did I put it too far or too close to the edge? So I'm just saying that as a word of caution. If you are going to do this yourselves, and if you intend to use them like this as dangly things, just be aware that the further away you are from the edge, the more there will be some limitations. Now, I've got a million buttons, and I mean that literally. This is my red pink button bin, and this thing is, I'd say almost 3 inches deep and, that long. This is one jar of these brown and earth tony ones. These are my blue ones. And I brought this along as the most beautiful tarnished silver thing ever that I thought I might have to pour buttons in or just show you. Anyway, so I've got buttons and I thought, well, isn't it high time I use some of them? I also have a bunch of punch outs of all sizes and descriptions. These little guys that I did with my punch, a square punch, a die-cut bird. Some of these, and I'll talk about that in more detail, are actually washi tape covered. So I must have covered something, cardboard, or cardstock, I guess, with washi tape and then punched out a bunch of circles in different sizes. A little teeny weeny flower punch. Cardstock. So got lots of that. I also have a little bin. And again, this is another thing that I did during my forced hiatus, is kind of sorted and labeled these drawers, making it easier to bring them to me rather than me go to them during taping. So punch outs, safety pins and bulb pins. I'll show you why the safety pin did not work, as well as 3 million eyelets. But I have to say, I'm so tickled pink now that I can do this without needing a hammer afterwards, that I'm thrilled. Now, I also think that the thickness of the puzzle pieces probably helps with the depth, because an eyelet, of course, has that depth to it. So I'm thinking on a thicker item, it probably does a better job than on something thinner, but we'll see. Okay, so I said I was going to do a demo of this. So basically there are 3 settings. This one here is for the eyelet setting. This one is for punching, and that there says says 1/8, and then this says 3/16. So this is the biggest hole it will punch, and there is where the actual punching mechanism is. So you can see that if I change it to 1/8, it's a smaller shank that comes down. So for and that too was trial and error, because, you know, sometimes you buy eyelets and it's not always clear. Like this says 3/16, but so how does that compare to 5 millimeter eyelets? Like, who knows? So basically, because puzzle pieces are the way they are, you know, you get corner pieces. Well, I got a few corner pieces there. You've got edge pieces. You've got pieces like this. So I think it's kind of a design decision to figure out how you want your piece to dangle, if in fact that's what you're doing, is dangling. So I'm going to just pick this corner, and I'm going to be very aware now, more aware than I was when I did this earlier, that I want to be fairly close to the edge. This is thick enough that, you know, it's not going to tear through or whatever, but I want to be close enough to the edge, and look what a nice clean hole that is, to, you know, be able to get the maximum reach out of this. So I like burgundy, so I'm going to use burgundy. And of course, you put it in with the eyelet on the good side. So then I slide my thingamajig over here to the eyelet setting function. And this little thing at the bottom here spins. And you're going to need your bifocals for this, let me tell you. Each of these faces of this little cube has a number, right? I don't know, where am I? Or can you see that says number 3? Anyway, again, I had to consult my little instruction sheet today. The setting that works for the 3/16 hole and these kind of eyelets is, the combination of settings is A1. So these are numbers. So I'm picking 1. And so the 1 is in the corner there, and it is facing up, and it's, I guess these things, let me confuse you further. Okay, each of these faces also has a shape and a different color metal. So I suppose if you couldn't see the number, you could remember that on this model and this machine, it's probably same design, is the silver side. The top also has, well, I guess it has just 2 choices. So the one that I need is A, and there's a little teeny tiny A in the corner there. So I want A pointing down, and then, well, I can't really, so what I do is then position this thing over that little bump in the bottom and squeeze down. And it's perfection. Perfection, if I do say so myself. So let's do a couple more. And of course, we're going to pretend that we're trying to be efficient here, and we're going to do several of these in a row, not keep changing back and forth with the settings. So Okay, let's maybe pick this one. So I'm picking this corner. And I was quite deliberate in not, I don't think I did any with it centered on a flat edge. Simply because, number one, I don't want to have to measure where the center is. And I think it would be cuter if it dangled sort of cockeyed as opposed to, you know, she tried to center it, but she's a little bit off, so it's a little off kilter. Like, I don't need that grief. So I'm going to just pick another corner, remembering occasionally that a person should go to the right side, not just the left. Do another one. On some of the samples, I punched the hole in this little, let's just say if this was a nut and no, is that the right analogy? When you go to the hardware store and you're buying cord ends, like electrical cord ends or certain other things, there is the male and the female end. And so without turning this into, you know, birds and bees, this would be a male end. These would be female ends. So at the male end, I chose to put a hole in some of them. So we'll stop there. I'll do these others another time. And now, you know, pick some eyelets. I seem to have a lot of brass ones, so I'll probably just use brass. It tends to go quite well with the aged paper look. I slid this back over to the setting. I didn't change either of those things, so I don't have to worry about that. And voila. Maybe I can do a black one. Oh no, or that's dark green, so that's fine. I'm amazed. I cannot believe it. I was so annoyed with myself and, you know, frustrated with the gizmo, thinking, well, this is what, like, it's not as good as everyone makes it out to be. What the heck? Operator error, clearly. So, good. We're done with this. Put it on the floor. Make some space. So, we have our pieces, our puzzle pieces covered. Another thing that I think might be worthwhile, although I'm pretty darn impressed with how the sanding has worked, an option that you may want to consider, depending on how good your adhesion was of the paper. Oh, you know what would be nice? Well, no, maybe it wouldn't be nice. I was going to say pattern tissue, sewing pattern tissue paper. But then you'd have to really do quite a good job of scuffing up the glossiness because the underlying puzzle picture would show through. Is some sort of matte medium. And I showed it the other day when I was sealing the little matchboxes that I did. So it's really easy to work with. You just brush it on using, well, whatever you choose, a silicone, you know, doohickey like this. I was using a bristle brush like this. You know, some people may choose to use their fingers, whatever. So that's an option to be aware of. Okay, let me show you some of the other samples that I made. And I've shown you kind of what is available in those drawers. I've shown you my buttons. So this was a pattern. Yeah, I have another one here. So a couple different puzzle pieces. These little, you know, that's the thing about bulb pins. Sometimes you kind of wonder. Yeah, kind of wonder. So I had used I have some dies for cutting little mini tags. I'd cut these circles out with my circle punch. Those teeny tiny birds, I'll tell you, they were so lost in this box. But then when I saw one, I thought, holy cow, that's so cute. I'd better fish some of them out. And they come in different poses, of course. So I just thought these were really cute. But on this one, because I had done the hole at the, you know, the long tall end of the puzzle piece, it seemed, when I just initially had these two items, it seemed, well, those proportions are clearly not good. So I added a piece of this tea-dyed bias tape, kind of frayed, and it, you know, it kind of, the proportions work better. So there are a couple of those. This was some old wrapping paper that I really liked. Oh no, this is a different one. Similar color palette, but different paper. So what I had done here, this was actually a punch out from one of those scrapbooking kind of kit things. This is one of the washi tape discs that I made, and you can see both sides. So no matter if it turns, it's still good. As well as, again, one of those sort of little fake button things. But the color was right, so that's why I used it. Here, another one of those button things and a real button. Again, being driven by color. On this one, I have this flower cut out. I don't know where I got it. I think it was in a bag of some stuff that I bought. I'm not really into using hearts, but this exists. The color works well enough with this, so I chose to use that to finish that up. I showed you this one. Nice big button. I have a jigsaw puzzle punch, which I love, and that is what I've used there. Okay, some of these haven't been punched, so I'll add them to that pile. I've got more of these things here that need decorating, so we'll just pick, you know, a couple to use to decorate, and then let you go. Oh, I started to say, this is another washi tape one, and this was a Van Gogh set that, you know, so he had done the sunflowers and Starry Night and some of those, you know, world famous paintings. So I thought, well, that would look great on a book page. And you can see how when I had done this a long time ago, I either was very ruthless with the sanding or had done a lousy job of gluing. It doesn't really matter. It again adds to that thing, to that look. So I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen those pins that don't have this little circle-y thing at the end. So regardless of the size of a pin, they all have that same thing. That's the mechanism of how a pin works. I don't know how the other ones work, to be honest, and I doubt that I would ever pay for a specialty item like that. So, but I thought, okay, this is a nice big pin. Oh, and I should show you that, oops, that's not the one. This is a tiny little punch. Sticker residue, made in China. It says McGill. Handle kind of wants to maybe fall off or whatever. I think I paid $1 for this, which is like my price range. This is what I use to punch these teeny weeny holes in whatever I'm choosing to dangle. One size up is this one. Bought it at a thrift store. Again, made in China. I don't think there's anything. I didn't finish taking the tag off, I see. Anyway, those nice, neat holes and surprisingly strong considering the diameter of that thing. If you don't have that, and I certainly wouldn't suggest you rush out and buy one, especially at full retail, I think that you could do it very adequately with a heavier pin like this or a T-pin. Pokey tool is probably too big in diameter, but I mean, you're a smart cookie, you'll figure it out. Okay, so pin from the back, bigger object next, smaller object next. Again, picking things that kind of go with the book page. And smaller yet again is the button. So then I close it. I'm thinking, okay, now what? It can't really go like that. It doesn't like it. This is kind of awkward. And unfortunately, you know what? Maybe a smaller pin would work better because then this thing would kind of nestle into that hole and stand straighter. I bet you I don't have a medium-sized pin here. I might have to leave you dangling. Pun. Leave you not knowing the answer to that because I don't want to start digging. Oh, maybe here's a not quite the baby pin. Let's see if that makes a difference. See, well, let me suspend my disbelief and try it instead of prejudging. Oh, a little tricky. Well, that kind of works. Yeah. Huh. Okay, that works. And obviously one size up would probably be better. But for the time being, I'll just leave it at that. So know that a safety pin could also work if you don't have access to bulb pins. Okay, so what else have we got? Oh, I put together, number one, because this is such a cute little tray, but I also sort of gathered up some of the options for decorating. So you can see that I have some little tags. I have some typewriter keys. This is, oh great, I won't be able to pick this up with these fingernails. This is a lovely sequin that I can't get. This was some sort of a thing out of oh, I know what it was. What do you call those things? You know, that are really thick. Anyway, I usually peel back the layers. Oh, for heaven's sakes, I can't think of the word. And it was just like rough cardboard. So I glued that on. This is a gear die cut. More birds in a variety of colors and sizes. More of the teeny tiny ones. A leaf. These are just little punches. Butterfly. Again, lovely washi. Oh, and some glittery stuff that I had. So I just wanted to have a few choices available in case I wanted to dip into there to decorate. On this one, I wanted to use the green. And what else? What else? Might not be so bad. Maybe this side is better. So where did I put the punch? And again, you want to be reasonably close to the edge. Is that because I said it works, how slick it works? You want to be reasonably close to the edge, but not so close that the paper actually tears through. So again, I start at the back. And of course, that tag could be further embellished, you know, like with a word or a label or whatever. I didn't bring any yellow or green buttons, so maybe we won't put a button on this one. But just know that that's an option, and you can get as, you know, go as wild and crazy as you want to on these things. So do a couple more. I like this. I would use probably this plummy color for a tag. What else? Would I want a gear? Maybe I want a gear on there too. I didn't bring the purpley buttons. You know, I can't bring everything. Come on. So I'm, you know, a person might, oh, for heaven's sake, a person might, you know, choose to add something more. What is this? Something more there. I was kind of looking for an H because, you know, that's too big. But that's something to keep in mind that, you know, if I come across an initial, a letter that fits, so you can see how quick and easy that is. You know, the hardest part is gathering up some options. Let's use maybe a black one on this. Okay, what do I want to use here? And now that I've kind of figured out, maybe this green one. It's rather big, but maybe I'll use it on one of these. Now that I've figured out, you know, and like the way this project is turning out, I think I would, when I next do some die cuts or some punch outs, I would be a little bit different. I mean, I'd be more aware of what I was doing in terms of punching things out. You know, and again, a person has to resist the urge to turn this into a, you know, a 5-hour process. Just get in, get out, get it done. None of this is brain surgery. That's kind of cool. But where would I put the hole? Maybe this is a better position. Could do it, make the hole in his back, and yet he'd still dangle down. Do it this way. Put it in the side of his neck. Where's brown better? See, I just said don't do this, and I'm doing it. Maybe the blue is a little more outstanding. Again, you'd want to get a system going. You know, I sometimes wonder if this was donated to a thrift store, because that little guide is kind of a pain in the butt. I hope that you choose to do a 100-day project of some sort. I mean, I think from my understanding, you can do whatever the heck you want. So, I mean, it's not often that we get choice like that in life. So, grab it. Let's maybe put that butterfly on there, just to prove that I can make a quick decision. Yeah, how often do we get to choose, set our own destiny like that? So I'll do this one yet, and then we'll call it done. How about a nice blue button? Or a red one. That's a pretty good one. I used to laugh out loud when Rachel at Roxy Creations would talk about auditioning stuff. I'm thinking, oh my God, that's a perfect word. Perfect word. So consider those having been auditioned. Need a little pin. I know that I had quite a hard, first of all, I didn't understand what people were talking about when they were talking about these bulb pins. I'd never seen such a thing. And I also couldn't find any. Michaels didn't have them, and of course, that's basically what our choices are in Canada, Michaels. I then then people started calling them, garment pins, or gourd pins, bulb pins, garment pins. So I remember seeing some, I think at Fabricland, and I ended up buying a package there, but I thought, holy cow, this is pretty expensive. And I think I then got some on Amazon in case you haven't, found your own source for them. I think that's pretty cool. And again, a person could put a tag there or whatever. I am going to let's just line some of these babies up. So remember, with the right safety pin, that too will work. Line some of these guys up so you can see what's what. And I think these really will kind of bring a new dimension to, whatever use a person chooses for them in a junk journal or in a paper project of some sort. Obviously, for those of us who love color, using color is a no-brainer. For those people who love everything neutral, the book page is an obvious choice. And, clearly you can decorate it however you want. So, again, next time you're in a thrift store, look for some puzzle pieces, the oversized ones, and make some of these because they're pretty fun. And I think pretty darn cute, too. Anyway, thank you. That is it. This video has gone longer than it should have, but it is day one. So hopefully I'll get a little faster and not talk to you about tea and everything under the sun. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.